Once upon a time, a long time ago, there was a woman in her prime. She was everything that you would hope for in a lady. A good personality, knows what she wants, pretty. Now, she's well beyond her peak and wants Ken's meat. Aliens, the only world you're going to be exploring is my titties. Welcome to a Don the Don episode 2 review. それって宇宙人じゃね? After ISS last relationship ended in equality of domestic violence, the domestic turned worldly and the violence turned diddly as Momo ran into alien ditties. As one nightmarish dream is one of forced alien entry, it gets even worse. For a Mobkun looking like a bowl haircut ass occult leader with future hopes of clapping cheeks or bare minimum being friend zoned. However, where one wants to feel the pleasures of their first bowl haircut of milky whites, a fine lady of the dead, well past their prime, but not well past her levels of yearning a man to fondle her droopy bags. It wants Ken Takakura to fill her guts by forcibly gobbling up his wiener. We got ourselves some equality of violence, but opposites of what the aliens want to do to Momo and what the horny granny from beyond the grave wants to do to Ken. One wants forced entry and the other wants entry with force. Episode 2 begins our cute, deranged, hectic, helter-skelter beginning of a cute little relationship between bowl cut turned fro cut and ISA. As it turns out, ISA's dreamy ideal man's name is none other than Takakura Ken, which is this fro cut. But Ken Takakura, you shall be no more. Your name shall be Okarin. As Momo sets her boundaries with the guy with the same guy's name she fantasizes about and puts on a pedestal that will most likely never live up to the image she put into her head, it's only now Okarin that will start to sway that fantasy into the reality of the real Takakura Ken. Momo and Ken continue on their way to the tunnel where they will put the smackdown on post-death menopause of horny Turbo Granny. We get some cute little bickering and air pressure coming out Okarin's booty hole. While Momo and Ken are not realizing that they are getting one step closer to each other's hearts. As time flies by, the sun comes. Using simple logic, ain't no ghost going to come out during the day, and so Momo is already taking Okarin to hit a home run at her house without even an adult present. The powers of a strong parental guardian has encased young Okarin into flames. Momo is just out here setting up your boy to be incinerated. Young Ken is just taking massive L's and continues to take more as how future girlfriend ISM Momo tosses him into a pool of where we get our rice for sushi. Momo ends up removing the barrier that destroys cursed grannies, which allows Okarin to enter her house. With the dirty Okarin, Momo tells him that her bachan ain't present, so you know what that means. Freaky deaky time. As soon as it starts to get freaky deaky, you know it's time for granny titties. You know, I haven't enjoyed this much comedic dialogue since probably Konosuba. The episode does a really good job making things funny, with a lot of over-the-top action and fun, flirtatious kind of banter. Momo gets curious and asks about a guy's manliness, and Ken gets the wrong idea as that's very offensive. But he double checks if his manliness is still present, and so the horny granny was not lying. Ken's wiener is gone! We get more cute banter between Ken and Momo, like they ain't in the same crib, inside her room, wienerless, both wearing women's clothing, just how a typical heterosexual relationship is supposed to be like. And we can't forget about the domestic violence. All of a sudden, Takakura wants to do some real character development that you should never do in real life by exhibiting weakness, losing frame, and telling Momo, I couldn't miss this chance to be friend zoned, because that's one step closer to actually having a real friend. Ken is acting the opposite of willing what you want into existence by telling Momo that she shouldn't be friends with a loser guy like himself, especially one that is currently wienerless. Momo tells him that life is exciting now, and who the hell are you to tell me how I feel? We all know chicks like excitement, even if Ken is temporarily wienerless. It's almost like Ken is doing a reverse psychology onto a rambunctious personality like Momo. Just as Momo tries to cheer up Okurin that they can be friends and talk about his weird occult-kun shit, Ken gets Momo's panties all up in a bunch and tells her, "Busu." Even though Momo and Ken are having a disagreement over how to do tact, this is the perfect formula for an exciting, blossoming relationship. While Momo and Ken's blossoming, violent relationships continues to grow, something outside is ready to plot their way into some cock blocking. The barrier that Momo took down to let Ken in allowed evil spirits from beyond the dimensions to creep on their flirting. Just as Momo and Ken are getting ready to put back up the barrier, it's just too little too late. This alien spirit thing comes out of nowhere to accuse them of breaking a promise of giving them their banana. And just like that, another experience of a lifetime between the opposite sex brings an excitement that can't be replicated otherwise, as they run for their lives. Takakura knows exactly what that thing is. It's the Flatwoods monsters from America. People that experience aliens also experience other supernatural forces. It's almost like there's some supernatural connection. With Ayase using her psychic powers to continually hold back Okurin's curse, that only leaves one answer with how they're gonna get out of the grasp of having their organs and bananas being harvested. Ken must Tatakai. With everything coming up to a climactic plot point, Ayase isn't used to using her powers yet, but Ken insists that she release his powers, but keep his brain from becoming like a concussed football player, just as they are about to get smacked by an organ harvesting alien. Sumo alien? And turn into turbo depressed granny. Ken's body is brimming with horny granny powers, but his voice, mannerisms, and personality is like a cross between Patrick and Eeyore. He somehow knocks off some fingers. However, just when it looks like a shonen, will shonen be disappointed or delighted that just like the previous episode, as the shoujo will have to carry the shonen. It's like every other anime controlling powers logic, the body just can't handle the horny granny powers of post-death menopause. Ayase has an epiphany as the alien is in a sumo stance and tells Ken how to defeat a sumo alien, as this may be the last time Ken can function for a brief moment to fight with Granny's depressing horny powers. The alien gets aggressive once again as it wants alien forced entry. Give me your banana, which causes Ayase and Ken to make their move. Ken bursts through the banana harvest alien's leg, and Ayase uses her other good hand to psychically melt this sumo alien's hand. But like any big boss fight, that very first move is just too easy. So this sumo alien hand that wants to do force alien entry just doesn't go down that easy. So that means Ayase will take punishment. Just as someone you care about gets hurt, it's time for the show's shonen to shonen. And the turbo granny horny depressing powers goes erector.
But wait a minute, I'm the MC.
Ayase uses the alien's barrage of punches as a way to get her knocked out of this alien's domain, which allows her to save Okurin and get the barrier seal to be placed back on her home, with Ayase and Ken outside of that domain, and with the barrier seal back on her home, the alien banana harvester that wants bananas and to do alien force entries gets engulfed in flames. As the alien gets burnt to a crisp, the young, budding, violently romantic duo gets closer with a heartwarming hug. Ayase is absolutely relieved, but not Takakura's curse. And just when you think all is well, Ayase got smashed, like a lot. Which means her hold on Ken is no more. Which also means Turbo, Horny, Granny is back to jack that wiener!
Touch, not titties.
If I was to explain Dan to someone, I would say it's supernatural, like Mob Psycho, but romantic comedy. While it's a fun anime, the characters are all very likable, and there are some unique qualities about it, like how they use their powers and the dynamic between this growing romantic comedic relationship. It makes it that much more exciting, not only from a relationship dynamic, but the fact that they're focusing a lot on the action is really important, because I think that action is actually the best part of this anime so far. This anime is not a very deep anime, but there is some depth to it when they do focus on their character development. I just watched Oshinoko and Failure Frame. Those are animes that kind of take itself a little bit more seriously. There are animes that hold like a lot more of a serious tone with tension that's like more serious. So that's where the action in Dan for me kind of comes into play, especially in this episode, as like the first kind of half of the episode is just romantic comedy. You have your fun dialogue, you have some cute humor, you got some sassiness going from both sides. It's very typical in that way of any kind of romantic comedy. It doesn't even have to be anime. But where the uniqueness lies really is when the action comes about, because Ken gets to use his powers, but he's not really in control of it. And you have Momo, and she has this cool psychic ability, which kind of in a way mimics, Mob from Mob Psycho. That's why I make that comparison, and the visuals of it, I think this is not the same animation studio, but the way it looks is very similar, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing, actually. It looks great. And when it comes to comedy, this show does have kind of like that blend of Konosuba, where it's like slapstick comedy. It's kind of in your face, but there is some fun comedic irony. And if you guys been following me for a while, you guys know how much I love the Eminence Shadow and how much they use comedic irony. And the show does have that. And I guess in the next episode, they will kind of show that as well in regards to the grandma. And yes, I did somewhat start reading ahead, cause your boy can't be wasting his time. I have to know for sure that the anime will not let me down, as animes like Dan aren't really ones where I watch every single week. It's a show I usually will just binge watch. That's what I did mostly with like Mob Psycho and those kind of shows. It's really the more serious ones where I'm like really glued onto the anime. It's just my preference. That doesn't mean Dan is a bad anime at all. It's a really good one, a very entertaining one that focuses, I think, on what it should be focusing on, as it doesn't take itself that seriously, but uses enough balance between the depth between Momo's character development, Ken's character development, and I'm sure all the things that will come as they meet more characters like the grandma and various other entities that they'll face. Dan is quite clearly fun, comedic, flashy entertainment. If you're looking for a more deeper, tense, serious anime, this anime ain't it, and they're not trying to be, but there is a good enough balance where you will get to care about the characters more and their experiences. But if you guys like what you saw in the first 2 episodes, I think you guys should continue watching, because your boy is going to as well. And I'm going to continue covering this anime, and I'm still looking for a second anime to cover through the fall as we enter the winter. But overall, what stood out about this episode wasn't the fun banter or anything that's romantic comedy related. It really is about how fun, exciting when we get into the plot, and how that manifests into the action where they fight aliens and monsters and that type of thing. And it's quite clear that Ayase is the more resilient, smarter one that basically acts as like the caster that like it controls or summons their monster that they can control. That is Kin. So it's a fun kind of unique dynamic in that way. I kind of love that aspect of the show. A growing romance and powers that they kind of need each other. But Momo is basically in control of Kin because he can't control the curse. So they must work together. And through that working together, they build a bond. And not only do we get to see this relationship blossom, we get to see legitimately fun action. That to me right now is Dandadan. That's what I like about Dandadan. So yeah, let me know what you guys think about the first 2 episodes so far. I would love to know. And do me a favor guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already. Check out my blog at otakusen.com. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.